Call to order of the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. Let the record show that we have one commissioner joining us via video, and we have Commissioner Oderman will be in this evening, but he's running a little late. So we have the other three commissioners present. So first item up this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. So you all join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. The first item up this evening will be the order of business, and then we'll proceed to the swearing in. So, Mrs. Carlson, are there any changes to the order of business?
President Decker, there is no change.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the order of business as presented?
Mr. President, I move to approve.
A motion by Commissioner Bear to approve the order of business.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion on the order of business? Hearing none, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
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 Motion carries. So we will proceed then into, and I hope Des is watching and listening in the back, into the swearing in ceremony for our three new police officers.
There she goes.
Chief Ciani, some words before I do the swearing in.
Yes, thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. I have three new hires here, not necessarily new. They've a couple of them been on for a while yet, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring them here. And just to clear the record, no one was ordered to be here tonight, so this is all on their own showing, and they're supporting one another. So I appreciate the turnout for this group, and hopefully they can keep it up for the others that we have to swear in. I have for you tonight is Officer Danica Brost. Danica is a Dickinson High School graduate. She's actually started her career with the police department as a dispatcher in April of 2020. And in August of 2022, she transferred into the patrol division. She has completed field training and is graduated from the North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy in December. The other officer who will be sworn in tonight will be Officer Dane Haugen. Dane is also a Dickinson High School graduate. Dane was working as a correctional officer before joining the team last August. Dane has completed field training and also graduated North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy this last December. And last but not least is Officer Keegan Jacobson. Keegan is a graduate of Trinity High School. Keegan was hired in October of 2022. He is currently in FTO and is he will be attending the Law Enforcement Training Academy at the end of this month. So these are your three individuals who will be sworn in tonight.
All right.
And they'll be giving a little bit about themselves following the swearing in.
All right, thank you. State your name.
I, Dane Haugen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the laws of the City of Dickinson,
that I will uphold the laws of the City of Dickinson,
the laws and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
the laws and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
and the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the laws and Constitution of the United States of America,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the City of Dickinson,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the City of Dickinson,
police officer to the best of my ability.
police officer to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We'll have to get like ceremonial pens when we do that. said, I'd like to hear a little bit about each of you. So whoever wants to go first.
I'm Danica Brost. I've been here in Dickinson for about 10 years. It's a place I call home now. Like Chief Ciani said, I did start off in dispatch, but patrol has always been a dream of mine. So I decided to make the push and go pursue my dream. And here I am today, and I'm thankful to be able to serve this community. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Hello, I'm Officer Haugen, or Dane Haugen, for the Dickinson Police Department. I grew up in the town of Dickinson here, well, town to city, and I attended DHS. I played sports there, and throughout my entire life, I always wanted to be a police officer. So I decided to pursue that dream, and here I am today.
Welcome aboard.
My name is Keegan Jacobson. I also grew up in Dickinson. Moved away for a little bit and decided to come back and fulfill my dream of becoming a police officer here in Dickinson.
All welcome aboard
Welcome
again.
aboard again.
And you know, it's a good day in Dickinson when we get 3 new police officers, and I know they're all going to do an outstanding job. So it's kudos to the law enforcement in this community that. I guess just the knowledge that our department has, and they bring it forth, and they can recruit from within our own city and sometimes within our own departments and get people to, you know, sign up to become patrol officers and eventually work them, you know, their way through the rank. I mean, I look at all the law enforcement here, and you guys, you're just doing a great job, and I think I echo, you know, for the whole city commission, we're so proud of what you guys do. So thank you so much. So,
Thank you.
so
Congratulations.
give them a round of applause. I think everybody in the back's just waiting to go get free meals or something off these 3. Or something else. So thank you all for coming in. Yeah, for 2023, yeah. I was gonna say we.
We fill the seats.
This was for a good cause. At least they heated up the room.
I better not eat yet.
Drilling holes in the wall. Okay, we will jump into our regular agenda, and the next item up is the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that commissioners wish to discuss? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll proceed to our non-timetable agenda. First item up is administration and finance, and we have lot sales, and this will be handled by Deputy City Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. Again, we are presenting lots for sale, and on the map will show each one that I'm reading here. So the first one is a R2 medium density residential, and it's Lot 3, Block 3, Fisher East Side, second subdivision of the city, Stark County, North Dakota. And the recommended minimum bid is $50,000 for this property. Second one, which is the corner lot just above this, the last one. So this is Lot 4, Block 3, Fisher East Side, second subdivision to the city, Stark County, North Dakota, and the recommended minimum bid is $50,000. Next lot, high-density residential is Lot 2, Block 10 of Hillard and Manning, 4th Edition, Subdivision Block 10. And the recommended minimum bid on this property is $25,000. The parcel number 4 is a high-density residential. This is Lot 3, Block 10 of Hillard and Manning, 4th Edition. The recommended minimum bid on this is $25,000. Parcel number 5 is Lot 2, Block 5, Springwood, 2nd Edition. Recommended minimum bid is $30,000. Little corner lot there. And then the last lot is that inlet lot, parcel 6, medium density residential, phase 2, area B of block 1, Surrey Heights Edition. Minimum bid is $15,000. With this, all sealed bids are to be delivered to the City of Dickinson at City Hall by Monday, May 15th, 2023, by 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Any sealed bids received will be opened at City Hall on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Successful bidders will be notified by Monday, May 22nd, via a written letter. And then upon acceptance of the bid, seller shall authorize the sale, then successful bidder will enter into a purchasing agreement with the seller outlining the conditions of the sale. Any questions can be directed to the City of Dickinson, our city administrator, Dustin Dossinger, and his information is on the board.
Just a couple things. One, do we have to do this every time? I thought once we put them up for bid, don't they just stay for sale?
The Century Code is silent on that, and so once you've opened them and you've noticed them, my recommendation to City Administrator Dossinger is that if the intent is to do that, you would renotice it, because the Century Code is very specific that anytime you do that, we have to do it by previous resolution, and it has to be published. So especially if there's such a time gap between when you do the first one and when you do the second one, it's better to notice the public than to not. So that was my recommendation to him.
Okay. Because I know we've sold lots before where we just had them for sale, right, Rita, in the past? Forever, till they just sold?
I think they might have, but I'm not sure that's probably the best way to do it,
Okay.
but just following the Century Code on this one, so.
And then my concern with that interior lot for 15,000, if we sell that other lot off,
Yep.
there's no access, so how's that gonna work?
Yeah, I thought we were going to put those two together.
Well, they were, Commissioner Bear, they were at one time, and then
Okay.
the bid that came in was extremely low because,
Right.
I mean, we can't sell a lot that doesn't have access.
right.
So if we sell that other one, I mean, that other,
Right.
that big parcel is unsellable.
If the little one sold and they took the bigger one too, you know, they could make a bid on both if they'd want to have both areas, then they'd have access to that one. But you're correct that this one being sold on its own, and I know it was talked about that maybe a party that's already there would be interested in having that lot from their property, but
And I
No
think there
interest yet.
was originally.
I
Well,
think.
the guy that's on Summit Drive, I know put an offer in on it, but his bid was rejected. You know, his adjoins from the top down.
But his was when they were conjoined. His
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's on the top of
Yeah.
the hill there. But I'm just saying, if we would sell that little lot, then what happens?
Well, and Mr. Friedrich, the question I would have is that, I mean, you're kind of the expert in the room right now. Is that even developable?
The big spot isn't.
Well, I mean, you could do something like the condos that are to the left of it, that hang off the hill, I suppose, but it's a steep hill.
Yeah.
That would take a lot of work.
I mean, it would be a big project, yeah, and like I said, if you sell the little lot, there would be no way to get to it, so.
Mm-hmm. And so why would somebody be interested in that?
Well, the original bid
The
that
guy,
came
the
in.
guy on Summit Drive, just because it extended his property.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he mows all the way down that hill, and he was just afraid if somebody would ever put a fence across there or something, that would inhibit him from, he had no plans to do anything with it.
Okay.
I think we'd have to just let the bids be out and see if there is any interest at all, and then go from there. If they put in a lower bid, then commissions have the right to
I mean,
decide.
I mean, legally, if we would get a bid on the small lot and sell it and then take away access, I mean, we can't legally sell a lot that has no access, right? Unless it's somebody that's adjoining the property.
Right, and I think the thought process is that by the bid notification, the potential purchaser is aware that the lot is being sold as is in its current condition. And again, I think the prior bid, when they were conjoined, the gentleman just submitted the bid for that parcel that adjoins his back property. And I think it was rather low in what he had submitted the request for. And the concern that we had was that that was not the way that the notice went out. It went out with those two parcels conjoined. And so I think the thought process is to open that back up and allow those two to be separated. Because I think there's a possibility that that individual may put back a bid in there, but to make it fair and notice to the public that the city is willing to separate those two parcels. But it is an as-is sale. We're not guaranteeing access, we're not guaranteeing easements or anything of that nature.
I know, but it would be in pretty bad faith if we sold a piece of property that you can't get to.
Again,
I mean,
that's
on
gonna
our
be up
part,
to
would
the
it-
buyer
I mean,
to-
would-
to make that determination. And if
mean-
they have any questions on that, they can certainly talk to city staff about it. But I think, again, if I'm calling this one correctly, it was noticed as two based on the recommendation from the commission, and the gentleman that submitted the bid only wanted that back lot because it did adjoin the back of his parcel.
Okay.
So if that is the case and he were to resubmit, then that smaller parcel wouldn't have an issue because, again, it wouldn't block access to the back lot.
All right. Well, I know him, so I'll reach out and tell him it's coming up again, but. Thank you.
We need a motion to approve this,
Consideration to
yeah,
approve.
this listing, so.
Move to approve the lot listing.
Motion by Commissioner Oderman to approve the lot listing,
Second?
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Go ahead and vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next item up is a notice of a grant award, and this will be presented by IT Director Meyer. It's for cybersecurity. Welcome. And Aaron is going through some voice issues, so
Good evening,
hope he
President
can make it.
Decker and Commissioners. So the grant award that I have before you, we applied for a $35,000 grant through NDDES as well as the Department of Homeland Security for a piece of software that we anticipated buying in 2024 as well. This piece of software year over year will cost the city between $25,000 and about $30,000. This grant would cover year one of that cost estimate. What it would do is right now we take the approach of how to react to attacks. This takes a proactive approach of how do we take and actually start to build walls around each individual section of our network, as well as when there is a breach, the software then reacts that in such a way to build a wall around the attack device as well as the devices that we clarify as more important within the software. It is a policy-based software so that we can actually set up those rules and more or less eliminate lateral movement within our network. It is just one portion of what we would consider our cybersecurity mandate and how we can protect our network. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Any questions for Mr. Meyer on this grant?
Mr. President,
Mr. Oderman?
we went through like a cyber attack at Common Spirit Health this last fall, and you don't realize how reliant you are on this stuff until you don't have it. We're still playing cleanup in terms of our billing and coding and things like that, and I can't imagine how much this would impact the city if we had like a ransomware or cyberware attack. So I think this is money well spent.
Thank you.
It's amazing how many times a day the state and city get attacked, just trying to penetrate into our system, get whatever knowledge, like you said, and they're going after everybody. So they're just looking for, in some cases, just getting a ransom out of people. So I think it's money well spent also. So any other comments or questions for Mr. Meyer? If not,
I do have one question on this.
Okay, Ms. Sobeluk?
Thank you. So we have a grant for this year. Is that something that can be applied for again in the future? After the first grant, will it be something that we just have to find within our budget to fund this?
So this grant would not be eligible for future years. This would likely be an operating expense year over year from here on out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Meyer or city staff? Not, I look for a motion on this grant award.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion or questions?
And I will make one comment before then. So currently right now, and I put it in the slides, but I think it's important to note, this is a 90-10 match. We would pull it out of our network funds this year to cover the $3,500. Likely the state of North Dakota is going to cover that local match, but we won't know until July 1st. And we can't spend these funds until North Dakota DES gives us the okay that they've actually received the federal funding.
I read that in their
Perfect.
notice, so,
Thank you.
okay. So I have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further questions or comments?
I do have an additional question. Anything that the federal government is asking from us in order to receive this grant that you're concerned with?
No.
Okay. So we don't have to like install any federal software or anything like that? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Meyer. Moving along, up next are financials, and this will be the 2022 year-end financial. This will be handled by City Accountant Maury. Welcome.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So basically, this report is just to give you an update on where we end from what you see from our typical monthly reports, just to give the Commission a chance to see where we're finishing out with our unaudited financials. So starting off, general fund budget, where we finished the year, out of our $22.4 million budget, we spent about $21.3 million, so about 95%. Biggest driver I can find in that is, as you're all aware, a lot of open positions in all departments, streets, open positions we had in the police department. Those are the funds that are making up that amount that we're under budget in the general fund. So then what we typically do in our general fund, since we spent $21.3 million, all we do is we decrease our transfers that we do every year from our special revenue funds so that our revenue and expenses balance out at zero at the end of the year. So that's how we're closing out our general fund. Special revenue funds. So these consist of sales tax, cemetery, some of the other ones you can see on there. So budget versus actual, the only ones I really wanted to touch on here are the main ones. I mean, you can see sales tax, we're under budget. Cemetery, why is that the way it is? All that is we transferred in $1.5 million from development impact fees into our cemetery, so we have a reserve for the mausoleum coming out of there. That's why you see the $45,000 budget with $800,000 expenses. Those expenses are part of that cemetery fund. The other one that's over is highway tax. That's money we get from the state. All that is every year we get money based on the state gets vehicle registration, fuel taxes, and a portion of that comes back to cities. So we do our best to forecast that, and whatever we forecast goes directly back into the general fund. So we forecasted 1.1 million, ended up with 1.2. So it all went back in the general fund. And then as far as changes in cash on these funds, so again, nothing that we didn't expect here in the special revenue funds. The only one that might catch your attention is hospitality tax. I know that one, that's basically our community center bond transfer. That's our transfer for property tax relief. So that was basically just something that we'd initially planned on. And then future fund, it's something that Rivera talks about when we have our retirement board meetings. The only reason it looks that way is just recorded a little differently because it's an investment. And then our debt service budget versus actuals. So 1.5 million we budgeted in the community center bond. We always do that to give ourselves a little leeway. Our payment's always roughly between 1.4 and 1.5. So we spent 1.4. And then our general capital lease fund, out of the 320,000 we budgeted, only spent 285. A lot of that is something you'll see in the next presentation. A lot of equipment that we couldn't actually get in 2022. And then revenue expenses, so almost no changes here. We do always have a positive balance coming into our community center bond fund because we're getting pledges in that fund. So every year we're building that fund up until we get to that last year to make that final payment in 2025. The general capital lease fund, we had a $9,600 positive balance to end 21. So all we're doing is bringing that fund back down to zero. Other budgets, so this is one that we touched on before, that middle one, development impact fees, that 5 million budget, 5 million actual, 1.5 million of that was the transfer to cemetery that you saw before. So that's why that one looks that way. Interest revenue fund, almost exactly what we said we were going to spend budget-wise. And then fleet, we're just a little higher because, gas prices and some of the equipment that they get. So that one's a little over budget, but that one is actually offset by other departments. So that's the reason that one looks that way. And then revenue versus expenses, just like we talked about. Interest revenue is the same way as future fund. It's an investment account. That's why it looks the way it looks on this slide. Development impact fees, again, we plan to spend much more than we received in. And then fleet, again, just bringing that fund back down to zero. And then our enterprise fund. So we do record these a little differently. So I'll start off with the water. It shows on this slide from our financial system that water's over budget. The reason it shows that way, they had about $900,000 spent on their water main replacement project. That's used from water's reserves. So once everything's finalized, all our assets are capitalized, that'll come back down and it won't be over budget. Sewer is under budget. Same situation with solid waste. The projects that we have, we spent about $250,000 on the landfill expansion and the leachate lift station. That's what the difference is in that fund. So again, we'll be under budget once everything is capitalized. And then the last one that shows it over right now is the wastewater plant. That project is the septic receiving station. So another one that one's coming, basically transferring sewer funds to that fund to offset the difference. So all these funds, once everything is capitalized, will be under budget. And then this slide kind of helped explain that here. So you can see even the wastewater plant at the bottom, we're transferring in from sewer exactly what they're spending so that they're at zero for the year. The only one that is in negative is water, which is, again, that's the water main replacement that we're using their reserves. So that one we did plan to be in the negative before the year started. So we're finishing where we expected to be. So with that, I'll do my best to answer any questions on this initial slides, and city staff recommends approval.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Maury. Any questions on the year-end financials? The unaudited year-end financials? If not, I think we need a motion from the commission to either approve or disapprove the unaudited year-end financials.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, will vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
It is, before we move on to your amendments and encumbrances, we do have timetable this evening, so we'll just have you get a front row seat there for a second. And 5 o'clock, public comments not on the agenda. It is time for the public to come forward if they wish and present any items that are not on our agenda for discussion before the commission, or if there are items this evening on the agenda you wish to discuss, you may also come forward. And if you're watching online, 701-456-7006 in our command center will patch you through. Does anyone have any public comments not on the agenda? Anyone with any questions or comments on items not on the agenda or concerns? Seeing no one has any comments, questions, or concerns this evening, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Maury, you get to jump right back up. So now we'll move on to our encumbrances, amendment and encumbrance for the year.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So these amendments and encumbrances are basically touching on what we talked about before. There was a lot of departments that had items budgeted in 22 that couldn't receive them until 23 due to supply chain issues. So this is basically us bringing them to you so that we make sure that budget gets moved forward to stay and not go over our 23 budget because these items couldn't be purchased till that time. So with that, the first item on here is building and codes. They had 25,000 budgeted in 22. The vehicle wasn't able to be delivered until March of 23. So we're asking for approval to have that 25,000 carried forward from the 22 budget to the 23 budget. IT had a door controller project budgeted in 22. I believe it was 90,000 total. They have 21,500 remaining out of that budget. We're asking for the rest of that budget to be carried forward to finish it up in 2023. Police had a training symposium that was scheduled for 22, wasn't able to be held in 2022, so they're asking for $7,500 to be moved forward to 23 to hold that training symposium. In water, they have 2 pickups that I believe have arrived now in March of 2023. So again, an item that was budgeted in 22 couldn't receive them in 2022, and we're asking for that budget to be moved to 23 to offset that expense. This first item in sewer here is a jetter truck. This is an item that we've had as a lease budget. So total budget is $205,000, but they had $41,000 budgeted in 22. We're asking for that $41,000 to be moved forward to 23, just kind of push everything back. And they're hoping to receive the truck in April. And I believe the bids will come to you soon as a commission to see the bids on this jetter truck. And then also something that needs to come to commission for approval for the actual purchase. The bids will be coming soon for this vacuum truck, which they estimated at $450,000 total. They're still actually hoping to even receive the truck by 2024. So this is again something that they'll have to bring to commission for approval, but we're just asking for the $90,000 budget to get moved forward. The water reclamation facility. So they had $60,000 budgeted for a truck with a small roll-off container, or a small truck with a roll-off container. They spent $10,000 and received the roll-off container. They were able to receive that, but they weren't able to receive the rest. So they're asking to carry forward the remaining $50,000 to use to update the bed of the truck, a truck that they currently have with the roll-off container that they purchased. Stormwater, we have this project all the way back from, I believe it was even 2020. It started, we've been encumbering money forward. So they had 150,000 they're asking to move to 2023 for drainage by lift station 8 that they're hoping to get some repair work done there. They also have 30,000 set aside for the museum storm line repair. This is to reroute the stormwater collection problems they have at the museum. Another one that they're hoping to get done in 2023. So asking for that budget to be moved forward. And then this last one here is a pavement breaker that we had budgeted in stormwater. Couldn't receive it in 22, so they're working on getting that still in 23. So just asking for that budget to be moved forward. So again, I'll do my best to answer any questions, and city staff recommends approval.
Just, Robbie, so the equipment for sewer, that's the lease payment?
Correct, yeah, so,
But, I mean, why would we move that forward? When do lease payments start? When we, because I imagine in 23, we budgeted that lease payment too, right?
yeah, we did, and the reason that we're doing that is we think, depending what the bids come back to commission, you'll still be able to approve the bids, but we think it might be higher than what we actually budgeted, so we're just hoping to move that lease payment forward to next year, just in case the bids come back higher than we're expecting. So, but by all means, you're right, we have it budgeted already in 23. So if it's something that the commission doesn't want to approve, we can take that off the list.
Commissioner
Well,
Frederick?
I'm trying to understand. I mean, if the truck comes in bid more, wouldn't we just approve it and then adjust the budget then?
Yeah, and that's absolutely an option too. Yeah, it was something that we just wanted to make sure that it wasn't lost when I visited with Mr. Zastapol, to show that, this is something that we think is going to come in higher than they initially planned. But it does make sense what you're saying, Commissioner Frederick, and we can.
Because I mean, we're not, if the truck comes in higher, we're still financing it. It's not like we're paying cash for it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. We can for sure take that off the list, and approve without those lease payments.
You wish to amend that on the encumbrances?
Linda, did you have a comment?
All I was going to say is that when we budgeted in 22, interest rates were lower too. And with interest rates being a little bit higher too, your lease payment's going to be a little bit more. This was just to help suffice that without coming back next year asking for an amendment if we would have to.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 90,000 more.
It's very small, but it was just what you thought of. Instead of coming again in 23 for an amendment if we would have to go above what we have already budgeted for 23.
I mean, like, even in building and code, it's 25. I mean, can you buy a car for 25,000? I'm honestly, can you, I mean, is that?
So in that one,
Yeah,
I
Chevy
think,
stopped making the Spark, so.
Can you buy anything for 25,000?
so I think even that building and code situation, and Mr. Prowse can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it came in at actually 45,000 in 2023. So the 25,000 is just to offset some of that 45,000 expense. We had, I think, 40,000 budgeted in 2023. So there's 25,000 that we're carrying forward to cover what we were over budget in 2023.
So we budgeted 40 and it's 45?
I believe so, yep.
So then wouldn't we only need to carry over 5?
Yeah, and so with encumbrances too, they can't spend this money on anything else. So it's basically us just saying, instead of picking a number that out of this 25 to move forward, we're moving the whole amount, but they can't spend that extra 20,000 on, something else that isn't budgeted. It has to be specifically for that purchase.
Okay, well, I mean.
So anything excess then goes back into the general
Just goes away.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well then, I mean,
It's
then I guess I don't have an issue. I didn't understand why we were
Right.
budgeting another lease payment when we haven't even got the vehicle yet.
That makes sense, yeah. And we can definitely do that differently, and I do get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
Mr. Maury, you might not be able to answer these questions, but I see Mr. Proust is in the audience, so maybe he can answer them. But like on the stormwater projects, we've encumbered since 2021 $60,000. Like, what's the delay on these projects? Are we not getting bids for them to get them done, or why aren't they getting done in the year that they're budgeted? Or Mr. Zastable? I didn't see you sitting there, sorry.
This was that 60,000 or 150, total 150.
Yep.
So that one is, actually, we have that already approved by you guys, and it's moving forward, and that's gonna start this spring.
Okay.
So that money that was set aside, it was 60,000, everything got really expensive, and then plus ordering, like the, it was a bigger project than it, or turned out to be.
Okay,
So then we had to get an engineer involved, and then from that point, we moved forward. So-
okay, all right. And then what about the other one, the museum storm line repair, 30,000?
Good evening, President Commissioners. On the museum storm drain, there is a scope of that project was not matching up. Initially, when they talked about doing that project 2 years ago, it was having to do with the whole parking lot that the museum's sitting on. When they build the new addition to the museum, that project needs to get looked at. What the museum director was wanting is behind the Pioneer Machinery Building, there's a water issue that flows through the west side of the Pioneer Machinery Building and where our old buildings and maintenance shop used to be. And it's running into the Pioneer Machinery Building.
Okay.
So we're gonna utilize that 30,000 to fix that repair. We were working with Wind Construction. It's gonna be a lot of concrete work in that area. However, it was so late into the season, they weren't comfortable continuing on with that project. It's something we're looking at starting this spring.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
There was one other thing on that, the back truck, for 90,000. That one is actually, we're supposed to receive that here at the end of April, or March, I mean. So that one is, I was just told today, so.
Are you gonna bring it to the next, the first meeting in April and show it off?
Actually, probably for the, we were gonna display it for the, grand opening of the, of Town Square.
Oh, great, awesome.
So we have that, we have the Public Works Week, we're planning on doing it. So with that, not with the grand opening, but with the Public Works Week when we have our displays of equipment, so.
Great, thank you.
Sounds good.
Any other questions or comments? Are you satisfied with?
Yeah,
Okay, we don't need to amend
that
it. so-
explanation
okay.
makes sense to me. As long as it can only be used for that
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
then I guess. it
Yeah,
doesn't
and I
matter.
know that's with the audit and everything too, that's a very strict, that's something they look at too and make sure it's not being used on
Sure.
anything else too, so.
I'm good with that.
And this is Resolution 04-2023. So if there are no further questions or comments, I'd look for a motion.
I'd make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick, second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Let's see what we got up here next. And we have the accounts receivable write-offs, Commissioner Frederick's favorite item.
So, thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So with this one, I know Ms. Carlson and Ms. Winkle were working a lot on what we can actually do with these write-offs. And I know we weren't able to write off everything that we wanted to, but the total we were able to write off at this point, due to collection efforts exhausted, is $7,482. That's based on reaching out to people that are, you basically can't find them at this point. They're no longer in the area. It could be due to bankruptcy. There's multiple reasons. So we do have some larger ones that are still outstanding, and I know those are ones that they're working on getting final payments on too, and continuing those payment efforts. So at this time, all we are able to write off is $7,482.18, and we are asking commission for approval, and city staff does recommend approval.
So do we actually turn these over for collection, or do we do our own collection services?
We actually are contracted with DCI,
Okay.
and so we do both. And actually, we do better in-house than we do outside, because she knows more people and she does get through.
I mean, these collections would be reported to the credit bureaus then?
Yes.
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay.
One in there is a bankruptcy, so that's.
Well, yeah, you can't do nothing about that.
Right. So, okay, any other questions on the write-offs for 2022? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have HR. They have a list this evening. So we have a few jobs to approve.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, Mrs. Nominick.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So we have a reorganization that was approved with Public Works in the 2023 budget. And I'm going to be bringing forward the job descriptions and those changes for the water utility and the water reclamation facility portion tonight. So the utility operator 2 is the achievable position. The way the organization, the org chart would go would be operator, utility operator, and then the utility operator 2 would be achievable. And the achievements would be through education and experience. We would require 3 years of experience in a utility operator position. The special requirements, we'd require a valid North Dakota Class A commercial driver's license with the air brakes and the tanker endorsement. And then you can see the water distribution, the wastewater collection system class certification that's required for those positions. The NIMS, ICS certifications. There will be specialized training on equipment. They created an equipment training form and listed out every piece of equipment in each department and gave it a points value. And so that's how they will go through and get their points for all of their trainings that way. And then they will also be required a Department of Health PH certification. This position will be in grade 13, and it'll be a non-exempt position. And then again, this lists all of the achievable components. Some of them that I did not mention from the job description would be a lift truck operator certificate, some of the emergency management courses, CPR, first aid, defensive driving course will be required. The 15 points from that equipment training that I mentioned earlier. And then they will have a requirement of the supervisor recommending them to move forward, the utility manager recommendation, and the director recommendation. So city staff is recommending approval on this job description.
So just out of curiosity, how many people meet this requirement that work here already?
I would have to ask Dwayne if he knows. Do you have anybody currently?
We budgeted in one operator for the cars.
But I mean, does that person already, is there more than one person that already meets these qualifications? That's one.
Currently, yes, I have one operator that is capable of earning this year, operator 2. But we will budget it in at the beginning of the year for any operators that will be eligible. So it'll be like, we'll know ahead of time before they get approved.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. Ms. Winko, on these job descriptions, we need individual approval, or can Mrs. Dominic go through all of them and then we approve all of them? I think there's 5 total different changes.
It's hard to say, Mr. President, considering you might have changes on some and not others. So I would probably recommend just taking them individually, just in case you do have changes.
Okay. Utility operator 2. Commissioners, any questions for Mrs. Dominic or Mr. Zastapel?
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Further discussion? Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Ms. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next up is utility foreman.
Yes, this would be the next position in the org chart. It was a senior water utility operator position formerly, and it'll be changed to utility foreman. It will change from grade 13 to grade 14, and city staff recommends approval.
So is this just a name change?
Just a name change and a grade change.
Mrs. Nominuk, do we want to, if we're doing some updates to our current wage study, do we want to change grades on this until we get that stuff back, or?
Well, this has already been approved in the 2023 budget.
Oh, okay.
So I think that it's appropriate to change them, and then we can take a look at what the wage study comes back at.
And the wage study won't be implemented until 2024 anyway, regardless of what we do.
Correct.
So
Okay.
we're not going to make a change in the middle of the
Sure,
year
yeah.
with the wage study, so. And it's budgeted for 2023, so.
Correct.
Okay, any questions? Not, I'd look for a motion on utility foreman position.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next up is utility supervisor.
Yes, this position was formerly the chief water utility operator, and the title will change to utility supervisor, and will change from a grade 15 to a grade 16, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominuk. Any questions for Mrs. Nominuk? Not, I'd look for a motion on the utility supervisor position.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Our next position is Water Reclamation Facility Operator 2.
Thank you, and this is very similar to the utility operator too. It will be the achievable position after an operator, after they have 3 years' experience as a water reclamation facility operator. The special requirements will be that valid Class A commercial driver's license with air brake and tanker endorsement, the wastewater treatment Class 2 certification, the NIM certification, specialized training on equipment, and other certified certificates that are outlined, and the North Dakota pH certification. This position will end up in grade 13, non-exempt. And then, again, here is the list of achievable components. They will have that lift truck operator certificate required. Again, the CPR, first aid, AED, defensive driving course. 15 points with the equipment training. Supervisor, utility manager, and director recommendation, as with the other job description. And city staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominuk. Are there any questions for city staff on this position? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion?
Same question. Do we have somebody that already qualifies for this, or multiple people?
I don't believe so in water reclamation. They're pretty new.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Last position is Water Reclamation Facility Foreman.
Okay, and again, this was the senior water reclamation facility operator. Will be a title change to water reclamation facility foreman. changing the grade from a 13 to a 14, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Dominic. Any questions for city staff on the water reclamation facility foreman? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Mrs. Dominic doesn't get to go anywhere. Now she gets to do the monthly HR report.
Yes, thank
So-
you. So first on our list is the library. We have 3 librarian positions open. We did make a hire to Rachel Waldo, and she started her position on February 13th. Fun fact, her husband also works for us, so that was a great hire. We have a librarian marketing and outreach services position. We're doing interviews on that position right now. We continue to have the planner position open. We've had it open a couple times, working on reopening the position. We made a couple little changes to the job description, not requiring as much experience, 1 year or more, looking for maybe more of a entry-level planner. We're gonna do some work on trying to reach out to some of the universities that may have similar degrees and see if we can't get some interest with some of those students that will be graduating soon. Maybe try to get some applicants for this position. It'd be nice to get it filled. The engineering technician has been a difficult position for us to fill. We had made an offer, that person declined. So we have it back open again, and we'll continue to try to fill that. Communication specialist, again, continues to be difficult. We did get back one of our communication specialists, tried out the fire department for a little bit and came back to communication specialist. We have 1 in the background phase right now and two open positions to fill. Police officer position, we hired Christopher Olson recently. We have someone in the background phase, and we have reopened the position. We'll continue working on those openings. Police chief, as you know, we have filled that with Chief Ciani. So we're happy to have him on board as our official chief. Solid waste, we have 3 operator positions, and those are open until filled. So as we get applicants, we are interviewing for that. Scale service representative, we did have someone in the background stage, and that person withdrew, so we will reopen the position. Street operator, again, remains to be a difficult position to fill. We do have 1 person in the background, and we have the position open until filled and are interviewing as we get applicants. We have opened our seasonal positions, so we've got 4 laborers for the street department, 4 for seasonal utility laborer, 3 for seasonal forestry laborer, and 12 for seasonal buildings and grounds. So we'll be working on getting all of those filled and extending an opportunity for those to come back that were working for us in the past years. And then to back up a little bit, utility operator, we had 1 opening there, and we filled that with Bailey Clayman. He was a seasonal employee for us for the last several years, and he's gonna come work for us full-time. So we're happy to have him. Facility operator, we have 1 opening left there. We had made an offer and that was declined. So we're gonna keep working on trying to get that filled. Museum visitor services coordinator, we filled that position with Stephanie Bates. Again, another fun fact, an employee's wife. So we have a couple hires that were spouses, so that's great to see. Seasonal paleontology assistant, we are in the interview stage for that position. Human resources generalist, that was a promotional position for 2023, and Natalie Torgerson accepted that position and started this week. Property appraiser technician, we have made an offer. We are in the background for that position. Deputy clerk of court, we had a 1 and a 2 position open. We did fill the number 1 with Isabel Chadwick. She started this week. And then we decided to fill both of them with a clerk of court 1. And then at some point after they're trained, we can open up a 2 and do a promotion at that time. So we did make another offer. We have someone in the background stage. So hopefully we'll have both of those filled soon. Fleet shop technician, we have open until filled, so we're working on that one. Mechanic, we had just recently made an offer. We're in the background stage, so really excited to hopefully get this one filled with someone with some experience, so that'll be nice. And we have 1 opening as for a firefighter. They're doing the interviews actually tomorrow for that. And then since this was sent to you, we've opened a deputy city assessor, which was a promotional position with the 2023 budget. The finance supervisor just got opened up, and that is a promotional 2023 position. We've opened up the dispatch and police officer, and then a seasonal marketing and events assistant was just recently opened. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominick. Any questions for Mrs. Nominick on the monthly HR report?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Bear?
I actually have 2 questions, and I think it's going to be directed to you, Mr. Prowse, and Mrs. Carlson. I was wondering about, is it possible to get, with the close of the construction season, we usually get a construction worker or a heavy operator workers with CDLs that are usually laid off. Is there any way we could have like a winter seasonal position for part-time for snowplow drivers, the guys to come and work whenever we're short, especially like we are now, that we could offer a winter position for those individuals? And would that be possible?
We did have that open, actually. We do have a position, and we just did not get any applicants. So we don't have it open currently, but we did.
Okay.
I think the one thing we need to maybe focus on next year is maybe marketing it a little bit
Sooner.
more. Because I know there are people, I was approached yesterday at Runnings, and they said, well, what happened? And I said, well, it's still open. And the individual works in the oil field, one of those 2-week hitches, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. He said, I'm bored out of my skull for 2 weeks. So I said, well, go put your app in, you know. So I think we just maybe concentrate our effort and market it a little bit better. I think we will find some people that are out there. They're always looking for something to do.
Mrs. Dominic, have we ever explored like PRN or on-call positions, like as needed in the winter like this, like where kind of have on-call staff where this time of year, especially with like snow being kind of unpredictable, but just having like basically a list of people that we can call on in our time of need.
You know, and was kind of our intent with the seasonal snowplow. The problem is we do need to have them come in and do some training. They need to know how to run our equipment, those type of things. So, you know, but again, you know, the interest just wasn't there. We just didn't get the applicants, and the mayor's right. Maybe it was the marketing for it. Maybe people just didn't see it. We need to try something different.
Sure.
next
Yeah,
time.
I don't know if there's a trade weekly or something out in the oil field or in construction business. Maybe it's just something you take some flyers out to like Martin Construction or Northern, those individuals, and maybe there's a trade paper. Maybe we advertise like in WDEA, the Western Dakota Energy Association, because we're a member of that. We can advertise on Vision West. We're a member of that. Put that out there so that
yeah.
those individuals just kind of spread the marketing out a little bit. Just, you know, the ones that, like you said, that are maybe on a just looking for something that where they could fill in for a day or two.
And I wonder if those construction companies would even help us, like get the word out to them, and then, because they want their employees to stick around here, and
Right.
if they've got some employment during the winter that they can stick around, that's probably better long-term for those construction companies as well.
Yeah, the only issue with that is if they're gonna be rehired, they just collect unemployment.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're guaranteed rehire in the spring, then they
Yeah.
just take the time off, unfortunately. Because they're restricted, I think, on how much time, how many hours they can work once they're
Correct,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
unemployment, so. I got one off-the-wall question for you.
Sure.
Just looking through these job descriptions, some of them, I saw one was 2013 created, and then we didn't look at it till 2020, you know, that was the next change. I mean, do we have like a process that so many years we go through all our job descriptions and update them? And, I mean, that was a 7-year stint in between, I can't remember which one it was. It was
Updating
created in
them?
13, and we didn't look at it again until 2020.
that
Then we
was-
looked at
that
it,
was a long
then we
time
looked
ago.
at it 3 times in the last
Yeah.
2 years. I mean, is there like an industry standard? Do we, every 2 years,
Yeah.
every 3 years? I mean, there's gotta be, because I've seen some of these job descriptions come through several times since I've been here.
Right.
I mean, but I haven't seen every job description that we have in the city come through.
You're
Ever.
right, and some of them, you know, we only bring them to you if it's changing a grade or it's a new job description. So if we're just updating them, then we don't bring them to you. But you're right, some of them should be updated more frequently. And we kind of put it on hold a little bit when we did our survey last time, just to kind of see where things were at. And now it's like trying to get the ball in motion again.
Because I
and
mean,
get
in
'em-
6, 7 years, some people's job
Yeah.
can change a lot, I mean, especially in a business this big or
Yep.
a city this big, you know.
And then
so.
you almost need to have the whole department look over all of their job descriptions at that point.
I was just wondering, yeah. Thank you. That was my
Yes.
question. I was just curious, so.
I got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Same 3 people, don't go away. Couple weeks ago, I attended the AmeriCorps. They did a webinar that the League of Cities put on. And I don't know if we've ever used AmeriCorps workers before, but they're based out of Iowa. They send teams of 12 young adults that are looking to assist young communities. And what I was thinking about them is we ran into the problem this past summer with people in the community complaining about the way the community looks. And these individuals will do any kind of work. So I'm wondering if Mr. Prowse couldn't use them or we couldn't use them. All we have to pay for is room and board, and they pay for the rest. And I was just wondering, is there a way that we could utilize the AmeriCorps to help with the jobs we don't have? They come out for so many months or so many weeks, but we just keep putting in applications, and they can keep coming out here to assist us maybe where we're low on filling some of these positions. And they do everything from building to cleaning to you name it. They have the training to do that. So I was just wondering if this is something we could utilize here in our city, because they are looking for places to go. And I know that there were other towns here in North Dakota that utilized their program, and I was just wondering if we could do the same.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
I do have their packet here from their
Perfect, yeah.
webinar. It was really good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And then Mrs. Nominuk, on the planner position, is that, we just didn't get much interest, or?
Maybe 2 or 3 applicants total. They were from out of state, really didn't have the degree or even any experience at all in planning.
Okay.
So, yeah, it would have been completely starting from scratch with the applicants that we had.
So what's next there?
So we have, Josh and Natalie and I have all met and kind of looked over the job description. We've made a couple changes to the job description, looked at all the places we're gonna advertise, Natalie made a list of some universities today that have degrees that are similar to what we're looking for. And we're going to personally reach out to some of those teachers and see if they have any students, if they have any ideas for us on who might be someone that might be interested. You know, Stephen Josephson had mentioned, you know, when you are in a planning type position in a bigger city, they have so many specialized planners that your job is, you know, a certain path, where we have the ability to give them experience in many areas. And somebody new coming into this field probably doesn't realize that. So we have to try to get that out in our advertising. And that's what we're going to kind of work on when we put this position out, that what an opportunity it might be for someone just starting out, or even someone who's just in it a little while.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mrs. Nominick? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item up, we have Public Works, and we have land leases, and this will be handled by Utility Manager Zastapel. We have 2 separate land leases on the properties that the city owns, the one out by the fire training station and the cemeteries, and then we have our tree farm, so.
Good evening, President Decker and Commissioners. The first, we do have 2 land leases. The first one was that 177 acre up by the water reclamation facility. Let's see.
We're listed the other way. We're listed 111 first.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, the one by the fire training station.
Oh, yeah. So by the 111 acres by the south, the fire training center, this was 112 acres right where it's marked. The city has planned to do some work on that St. Joseph Cemetery. So we took off 1 acre on that. This is also part of our emergency landfill if we ever had any disaster. We're leasing it out to Hondel's for $40 an acre. City staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Aspel. Any questions for Mr. Aspel on this land lease? Not, I look for a motion.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Ms. Soboluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. The number 2 is the 177 acres at the, I guess we call it our tree farm out by water reclamation, so.
Okay. Again, we rotate this land by the water reclamation facility. It's 177 acres. Again, Hondel's, we have the lease out for $40 per acre. This is where we land apply our sludge. This year, this piece is going to be rented out. City staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Aspel. Any questions on this land lease? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Soboluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Aspel.
Thank you.
Next up this evening is Public Safety, and we have our monthly report by Fire Chief Presnell. Welcome.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. Before you tonight to present the monthly report for the Fire Department for February. Again, just the services we offer, it's a lot more than fire suppression. You know, we are in EMS now. We do a lot of fire prevention, inspection, safety talks, and then we are part of several regional teams across the state. Quick overview, we responded to 154 calls for service this month. This is down from previous months. and I'll explain a little bit as to why that is. That does put us at 327 calls for the year and approximately 37%, but as compared to last year. Here's calls by month. You can see our little dip from some of the changes we've made this last month. So as you can see with our EMS calls, it's down quite a bit. We actually responded to 40 less EMS calls in February than we did in January. A lot of that had to do with the way that we've kind of changed which calls we're going to, and working with the ambulance a little closer and having them cancel us when the call comes out and it sounds like we're not needed for something like, stub toe or something that comes in, or something that just does not need both fire and ambulance there. And then something we're actually going to implement this Thursday is we will not be responding in the big fire trucks anymore. We're actually going to put one of our half-ton pickups on the road and cross-staff it, and it will respond to all EMS calls with 2 EMTs on it instead of running the fire trucks down the road all the time. So it's not going to eliminate fire trucks from responding to EMS calls 100%, but probably about 80% right now, because there are chances if we're out on some type of fire call or an alarm call that an EMS call comes in and they go directly from there to that EMS call. So it will not eliminate it 100%. So right now we're going to use one of our current half-ton vehicles to do this because it does have lights and sirens, and we'll get all the EMS equipment. We just purchased a half-ton pickup to put in as a QRU. We utilized funds that we received from reimbursement from 2021 when we went down to Hurricane Ida. We were able to get into a half-ton pickup that we're just waiting for lights to get in, but we want to get started right now and get a half-ton on the road. So. But you can see we are up in our false alarm, false calls. Again, with the cold weather, we see a lot of this with frozen pipes. As it gets cold, warms up, pipes are starting to leak. It does set off alarms. We did have 4 fire calls this month, 2 structure fires and a couple of vehicle fires. We did have a fire at the middle school that was electrical that we did respond to, and then we had a structure fire on the south part of town. Calls by station, again, Station 1 does respond to the majority of the calls, and that is 68%. Here's kind of a heat map as to where our calls are happening. The redder the area, the more calls are happening at that location. But for the most part, we're pretty spread out, but as you can see, the majority of our calls are the southern part of the town. Yes, sir.
On the heat map there, to me, I've just been kind of tracking.
Yes.
Every time you put that up, seems like a lot of them are apartment complexes.
They do tend to be where a lot of our calls happening, medical calls, but that's where we struggle with a lot of our frozen pipes or our alarm activations when somebody's cooking or something like that. So we do go there quite often. The deputy fire chief has been really watching this, and he's starting to work with some of these apartment complexes to see how we can kind of decrease the number of responses, but he is actively working on that, but we're also tracking that as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Our response times, Station 1 response times are coming down. Station 2, they're coming down, but they're not quite where we want them to be. And a lot of the delays are happening from just the road conditions, traffic conditions. There's multiple factors that do affect that. Calls by day of the week, Friday was our busiest day, and then Sunday came in second to that, but it's pretty even across the board for the most part on when we do receive calls. Whoops. Calls by hour, again, it's kind of all over the board, but that 3 to 4 p.m. was kind of our hot hour where we ran the majority of our calls. Training hours, as you can see, we're actually doing pretty well. For the year, we're over 28%, so we're sitting pretty good 2 months in. For the month of February, we did complete 1,422 hours of training. So we're right on track to complete all of our training hours that are required by ISO, and then for our recertification for EMS. So The reason that we're already done with officer training is we had several NFA classes come into town that were geared more towards our officers and leadership and just dealing with different aspects of leadership. So we're pretty good there for the rest of the year. Fire prevention, they conducted 75 routine inspections for the month, 64 other prevention activities, whether it was going and giving presentations, CPR, stuff like that, or safety education, and then 1 certificate of occupancy. And with that, I would gladly answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Chief Prisnell. Any questions? I don't have a question, but a comment. I'm glad to see that we're adjusting to the scenarios with the EMS, and I think this will be a benefit to not only just the wear and tear on vehicles, but also our reaction time getting out there to some of these calls, because rolling a half-ton's a lot faster than rolling the big rig, so.
Yes, I would agree with you. It's going to be a little bit of adjustment as we go. I mean, this is something pretty new to us, kind of doing it this way, but I'm pretty confident with the team that we do have in the fire department that this will definitely make a difference.
Mr. President.
Mr.
Oderman. Chief Presnell, I do have a question. Is there a world's strongest police officer competition, or is that just something that they think firefighters can do?
Well, yeah, I see the setup there. I think they're equally as strong. Now, we did, what Commissioner Oderman is referring to, we did have a firefighter go down to Ohio, I believe it was, and for the Arnold Classic, and they actually, a couple days before the actual strongman event, they do a world's strongest firefighter. I'll do a little more presentation next month, but from my understanding, he actually finished fairly high. He did not take home the title of the world's strongest, but he was pretty far up there.
I got to keep the friendly rivalry alive here. So
you don't have to worry. Joe does that every day. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move into community developmental services, and first up is engineering, and this will be handled by Engineering and Community Development Director Skluzacek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. The first item up is an Apex Engineering contract. It's an amendment to a task order, and this is for construction engineering services for the State Avenue Mill and Overlay Project, which is a urban roads project, and it goes from Villard to 15th Street West. The original task order was $110,895. There was a prior amendment made for $114,200, and this amendment is for the total amount of $258,000. Brings the total amount to this project at $483,095, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions for city staff on this amendment? And this is a project that will begin this spring.
Correct. Yeah, it was recently approved. The contract for the contractor was approved.
Okay. So for the general public, there will be some challenges on this section of states this summer. So, and I know how busy that is. So, are there any questions on this amendment? If not, I'd look for a motion on task 2021-1.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Director Skluzacek, you got a monthly report?
Yes, sir. The monthly report for engineering and community development. Originally, Assistant City Engineer Marshik was going to give the presentation due to the weather. I was scheduled to be at a conference today and tomorrow. I chose late yesterday afternoon to cancel my reservations, got my money back. Hopefully that is a good thing. And so I'm here today to present. So it's been certainly a busy month for the team, even with winter conditions and whatnot, a lot going on and making a lot of progress. In the building and codes team, as you can see, we are down on both the number of permits and then total fees of permits that have been paid and picked up. In this case, I actually spoke with some building and code staff earlier this afternoon, and right now, other than the fact that there's just been a tough winter and winter conditions, we don't anticipate there to be any major differences going into 2023 versus what we ultimately saw in 2022 for total number of permits and those kind of things. The actual permits that were picked up and paid for thus far, though, have been commercial projects, and so that's why there's a little bit higher dollars per permit. So, in our planning and zoning, we did have one pre-application meeting, and we've had a handful of other follow-ups to other pre-application meetings and a number of things moving forward. So pretty happy with the progress. And then, as HR Director Nominick talked about, the planner position, we do have that to be reposted here soon. Continuing trying to tweak what we can and see what we can do differently. I don't believe it was mentioned, but City Administrator Dossinger had approved a moving cost stipend, and we're going to include that as an incentive, anticipating or the high likelihood that this position will ultimately be somebody who will not be local and require a moving costs, or that would be an incentive to that person. So, so looking forward to that. Hopefully we get some applicants this round. We do know, and we are aware of, there's a number of other communities in the state of North Dakota and the surrounding area that are looking for planner positions, as well as some private engineering firms as well are looking for planners, so we're not in the only situation that everybody's struggling to find this position or something similar to it. Engineering, one thing that I didn't have on there, but we do have an engineering technician position posted, and so we're hoping to fill that. And as HR Director Nominick had noted, we've had some challenges with that, and unfortunately, the last round that we had, we made an offer, it was declined. So hopefully, we have better odds with this next round. Number of capital improvement projects that are underway: the drainage ditch erosion repair project near the Holiday gas station near Museum Drive and Highway 22. Basically, right now, we're just waiting on the weather. Everything is ready to go. All contracts are in place. All permits are in place and things like that. Just waiting for the weather to warm up a little bit so that shotcrete can actually cure without blankets and heaters and all of the above. So, Legacy Square. So I'm supporting City Administrator Dossinger as we're working through completing that project, and number of both technical and non-technical aspects that working with him on, we continue to see progress, and as the weeks go by, we continue to gain confidence that the project will be completed as we've been planning for late spring, early summer. So the water main and lead service line replacement project, we actually put that out to bid a little over a week ago. Based on some of the information, there's a number of plan holders, and there's actually been some calls and questions and whatnot, so we're hoping to have potentially multiple bidders, and that would be a good thing. 2022 mill and overlay projects, so as you recall, that was actually a project that was not able to be completed in 2022. We had a meeting with the contractor on that project. We talked about some of the issues that we saw in the summer and fall of 2022, some of the ways that they're looking to do things different and better. We acknowledged and talked about some things maybe we could do better and different. And right now, through that conversation, they're gearing up and planning to commit a full crew to our project to get in as soon as the weather's sufficient and get that done as quick as possible in the spring or early summer of this year. So,
Is there quite a bit left? I mean,
about 30%.
So we're talking more than weeks, probably months, a month?
Probably about a month or so, depending upon weather. So There's unfortunately, in kind of the last minute haste to get things sealed up before winter, there's a little bit of rework that needs to be done as well. So some things that were quickly done need to then get peeled back and redone correctly, so. And then some of the projects that we have coming up that we anticipate to be bid out here in the coming weeks, the 2023 road maintenance project, that we actually just completed a 90% plan review, and comments went out to the engineering firm. So looking for that to actually be bid out soon. Dickinson South Cemetery, we're waiting on final plans to get that then out to bid. And then the North Industries Water and Sewer Project, Friday, actually, we just completed a 90% plan review. Comments went back to the engineering firm, and looking to get that out to bid here in the next week or so. We do have communications going out to those property owners associated with that. It's more of like a flyer or like a brochure. And then with that information on that document, that'll be mailed out to them. There's a QR code where they can actually scan in and see two separate documents. One's a project map, so they can visualize where exactly the project will be. And then ultimately we created, it's about a 4-page frequently asked questions document, or what we would anticipate to be frequently asked questions. And that's something we can actually make amendments to as questions actually come in, and then so that everybody has that information available on our website. So for our GIS team, so we've been utilizing our engineering technician staff to support the GIS specialist, Holcoulter, and throughout the winter months here, we've been able to get about 3,000 sanitary sewer services that were previously not included in our GIS information, which is a major move in the right direction for us, just continuing to build out our infrastructure and understanding what's all in the community. And then published some service upgrades, and so got all the upgrades necessary to move forward throughout the year. And with that, any questions?
Thank you for the update. Any questions, commissioners?
I think the building permits will catch up. I think it's gonna be a busy year.
Yeah.
That we anticipate, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I think it's gonna pick up a little bit, so. All right, if there are no more questions, we'll move into the,
Mr. President, real
Yes.
quick, we are going to have to go back and readdress item number A under administration, the lot sales. I noticed after you went ahead and approved that notice listing, we technically by statute need a resolution.
Okay.
So I just went ahead and drafted one, so we don't have to revisit this next meeting. And the resolution is identical to the resolution that you previously approved, but for the legal descriptions matching what was in that notice that was included in the packet. So if the board would take a vote, that would be Resolution 05-2023.
okay. So noted, 05-2023.
Correct.
Do we need the same individuals on the motion, or it doesn't matter if there's a different order?
I think that would be fine, however you
Okay.
want to do it.
This is for the lot sales, Resolution 05-2023. I'd look for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Oderman, second by Commissioner Bear. Any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Soboluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
We'll move back down to commission. This is your time. Any questions from commissioners or anything you wish to bring up that wasn't covered in the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are